Hello, hello. What's up, what's up, what's up? 7-Eleven on 5/12. It's Thursday. Everybody's ready for the weekend. Getting over to Thursday over here. Welcome to the Cannadelic podcast. Every morning at 7:10 so far. I'm bringing you some updates on the news, updates on cannabis and psychedelic legislation. What are we talking about today? We're going across the country, giving you some updates on what's going on in different states as far as cannabis legalization, movements, people doing things, activists, even some psychedelic stuff. And it's happening all across the country, where there's a movement to not only legalize, but to engage with communities that could be marginally affected or have been marginally affected and could be more marginally affected by legalization. Marginally affected by the war on drugs, now marginally affected by legalization. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. And with one of my favorites is that former Texas Governor Rick Perry. You might remember him from the Republican primary debates. He couldn't remember the offices that he would have eliminated. The federal offices that need elimination are. He didn't mention the IRS, so he lost me there. But he's the energy secretary who could not. He was the energy secretary. He could not remember the EPA. Interesting, right? But he spoke in support of psychedelic therapy. And I think that's because there are a lot of veterans in Texas, and he interacts with a lot of veterans, and he hears that feedback. It goes to show you that those stories, those anecdotes go a long way. Louisiana House of Representatives approved a bill to make it easier for people with criminal records to work in the medical cannabis industry, which is good. I'm a big fan of allowing people with cannabis convictions, nonviolent offenses, to be part of the cannabis industry. In Indiana, Senator tweeted about a Delaware cannabis legalization bill advancing, saying, "Yet another state is moving towards legalization of cannabis. Indiana cannot continue to be stuck in the past on this issue. Cannabis legalization is crucial for criminal justice reform, medical benefits, new businesses, and new jobs, plus providing tax revenue to help Hoosiers struggling with addiction and fix our roads." That's right. They refer to themselves as Hoosiers in Indiana. How about Arkansas, or Arkansas, if you prefer? Arkansas activist who recently dropped her effort to place marijuana legalization initiative on the ballot is shifting focus to opposing a separate campaign led by former lawmaker that is funded by medical cannabis growers. That is a kind of a little microcosm as to what seems to be going on in some of these states as they're pushing for legalization. And you're having various bills, and some of them actually kind of enshrine the existing big marijuana companies and lock out a lot of people from participating in the industry, and others are more open market. So you're seeing kind of a divided front when it comes to legalization, which isn't the best thing. The best thing would be a united front. And one of the questions I get a lot is, how come we can't just all get together and row in the same direction? I'm co-founder of the Florida Cannabis Coalition. That was the idea. Let's get everybody rowing in the same direction. Unfortunately, everybody doesn't agree. Some people believe this should just be a plant that you can grow and use however you want. You want to smoke it, you want to eat it, you want to sell it, whatever you want to do. And then there's some people that think, well, it needs to be regulated. It should only be able to grow so much. And there's some people that think it should only be controlled by stores and in a professional industry. How do these people come together? How do we make change? It's a tough issue. Over in Jersey, the Supreme Court is considering a case on how police test for marijuana impairment, and in neighboring Pennsylvania, A court will hear arguments in a case in which a news organization is trying to force regulators to release data on which conditions people are accessing medical cannabis for next week. This is an interesting case because it brings into question HIPAA, right? So I don't, I'm not going to pretend to understand what HIPAA stands for. It's like Health Information Protection Act, maybe. That's me speculating. It's what it sounds like it should stand for. So there's a big misconception that your medical marijuana records or your status as a medical marijuana patient is HIPAA protected, which means that it's privileged information that your medical provider cannot share with anyone. And while there are some things that are protected by HIPAA in the state, on the state medical marijuana system, so your conversations between you and your doctor and diagnoses and all of those things are protected by HIPAA. The fact that you are a card-holding medical marijuana patient is not protected by HIPAA because it is not something that is between you and your doctor. There's a separate thing where you're registering with the state. So this technically does not fall under HIPAA. So some of your information is protected. Some of it is not. The type of information that I understand is protected are these diagnoses, right? The police may know when they pull you over, they have a portal here in Florida that they can log in and see if you are actually a medical marijuana patient. And they can see if your orders are open as well. So if you are a patient, have no orders and have some, it could be an issue. So they're accessing your records. They can see that you're a patient and your orders, but they can't see why you're a patient. They can't see if you have PTSD or cancer or whatever your qualifying condition is. And it looks like a news organization is trying to get that information released. Interesting, huh? I wonder why they want this information released. And I wonder how it's going to rule because it'll probably set precedent on whether those conditions are covered under HIPAA. And keeping up in the Northeast over there, New York's top marijuana regulators spoke about the opportunities for women in the cannabis industry. Also in New York, I believe it was this past weekend, they had the cannabis parade, the thing that made me realize there was a such thing as cannabis activism back in 1992, 92 or 90, I think it was 92. First cannabis parade I ever went to. We marched from Washington Square Park up to Central Park. The idea was that cannabis was marijuana, weed, was legal in Washington Square Park, but only in the park and only on that day. This is what we were told about this cannabis parade. And then we were going to march up to Central Park and they were going to drop joints from helicopters. Right? I'm going to drop joints from helicopters. That was how you got everybody to march up to Central Park. Now, Washington Square Park and Central Park are pretty far. If you're not familiar with New York, Washington Square Park is down in the upper teens, and as far as streets, long streets, and the Central Park is up on 59th Street. So you're talking a good 30, 40 blocks that everybody had to walk, which was interesting. It was a lot of fun. I felt a little out of character walking up there. People were carrying signs saying the Constitution was written on hemp paper, which I found interesting. So they had this parade. It was very rainy. So I know that they didn't have the turnout that they expected, but they did actually give out free joints. Finally, our good friend Steve Bloom of High Times fame, the Celeb Stoners, one of the organizers of this event, Chuck Schumer came out. It was a big deal. I seen a video from Steve D'Angelo from Harborside who came out and participated in it, and it looked like a major evolution from what is it, 30 years ago that I first went to that parade. We've come a long way. Let's go a little bit further north. Michigan regulators launched the Marijuana Social Equity All-Star Program, while Colorado regulators released updated marijuana business license demographic data. Washington state regulators are now considering marijuana business issues on Wednesday, and in Maryland's Medical Cannabis Commission will meet on Thursday. So a lot of action going around the country. The Oregon Task Force on Cannabis-Derived Intoxicants and Illegal Cannabis Production will also meet on Thursday, and Iowa's Medical Cannabidiol Board will meet on Friday. That's tomorrow. That's right. So there's also a lot of smaller things going on around the country. We talked about Thailand yesterday. Really interesting. What's going on over there? They're giving away 1 million marijuana plants. These are going to medical marijuana patients, and these are for them to grow, so they can grow at home and grow their own medicine. That's one way you can do home grow. There needs to be a lot of education around home grow, because people can grow some pretty shitty weed. I gotta say, the home grow. You ever get somebody's home grow? Like, I remember back in the day, somebody be like, "Oh, I grew this myself," and they give you stuff, and it's like, what? But that's home grow, bro. Like, home grow was like slang for shitty weed. It wasn't. There was hydro, right? Hydro was like the best weed. Like, hydro, this is hydroponic shit, man. And then there was, and this is where I'm from anyway. I know in Florida they had like Crippy and all this, stuff down here, but in New York you had hydro, and then you had just kind of regular weed, and home grow was like, man, what the fuck is this? Home grow? Did you grow this yourself? Now people can grow some good shit at home. I've seen some really good home grows, but it's still really easy to get mold, and really easy to get, stuff that's not so great for you on there. So I think we're going to need a little bit of education on home grow on a mass scale, so that people aren't smoking mold all over the place. But that is the cannabis news from around the country. Hope you guys are enjoying. What's going on? Chat won't let you post. What's going on over there? All the comments on here are from YouTube. Nobody watching on Facebook today. Oh, we got some viewers from Australia. Moist Globe. That sounds appetizing. Good morning, Chuck, Chris, Elijah, T.I. Got good hemp over there. Legit. Tara, good morning. Cass, Chuck, Nina, Chelsea. Hope everybody's having a good Thursday. And that about does it for the Cannadelic podcast today. Hope you can join me tomorrow. I did want to mention that I stopped by Tara Wellness and picked up some flour over there. I think we got the Mai Tai, which is quite tasty, and it looks pretty dank if you check out our Instagram feed. And then I also wanted to again mention how much I love these things, these little fluent chillums, the pre-packed chillums. They come with 1/3 of a gram. Oh man, it smells good. Come with 1/3 of a gram and a little glass piece that's brand new, clean and brand new. So this is the best taste that you'll get from cannabis anywhere. Brand new, already pre-packed and sealed in there. It comes in the airtight container, so it's sealed in there. And it's cool. Throw it in your pocket and stuff. I get 5 or 6 hits out of it. Nice hits. And I just love I used to, real quick, we used to have a smoke shop supply company, and we'd get a lot of chillums like this, real cheap, 50 cents, $1. Just the glass piece, not the plug, not the weed inside, not etched on there. We'd get them, and I remember having like a big box of them. Maybe the box cost $50, and it was a big box just full of glass chillums. And I would, every time we had a new strain, I'd use a new chillum, just because it was just like so nice to just taste what you got, That's why I like these so much. So shameless plug for a product that I really like. And I'm gonna let you know how some of this Cetera stuff is as well. You know, Nurse Colleen picked up some stuff over there, some 1-to-1, some tinctures and things, and I'm gonna try some of those out and see how those go. And we will let you know. Have a fantastic day. See you, manana.